Today I'm on my own. I'm by myself. My co-host Reza is not podcasting with me. And to be honest, I'm feeling a bit lonely, to tell you the truth. So I said to myself, why don't you try speaking with artificial intelligence? I'm sure I can have a really interesting conversation with AI and show you how it can help you with your speaking and your fluency in English. But then I thought, which AI should I use? There's ChatGPT, of course, and there's Microsoft's Copilot, Google's Gemini, and Apple's Siri. There are also some AI companies that are not so well known, like TalkPal, Langua, and a new one I recently found called Sesame, and there are many others. But that begs the question, or asks the question, which is the best one? Which AI should you use to practice English conversations? So I decided to try all the ones I've just mentioned so that you can judge for yourself which is the best AI to use, especially if you don't have anyone to practice English with. Welcome to Aprender Inglés with Craig and Artificial Intelligence. Hello and welcome to the podcast. If you're a first-time listener, this is not the regular kind of podcast that we do. My co-host Reza is not here with me today, but he will be back next week. And next week we'll be continuing our vocabulary series about the 5 senses. We'll be talking about sound and our sense of hearing. But this episode focuses on AI, artificial intelligence, or as I prefer to call it, assisted intelligence, because it assists you to do tasks like improve your English. Now, one of the most common reasons I hear from students that are not practicing their speaking and fluency is that they have no one to talk to. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that excuse doesn't really work anymore. These days you have a wide range of AI applications on the internet, and you can use them, partner with them to have conversations. But are they all equally as good or equally as bad? Today we're going to find out. As I tested each of these AI systems, I occasionally asked it to clarify words that I didn't understand to show you how it replies. And I also asked it to correct my English if I made mistakes. This is a very powerful thing when it comes to AI systems. Sometimes people, humans, we don't like to correct each other when we're speaking. We might think it's rude and not polite to correct somebody's English. AI doesn't care, so it usually will correct you if you're making grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation mistakes. I was also curious to know if it could speak to me in different accents, because in my conversation groups, many students tell me that they need to speak with people who are not native English speakers. Maybe they are German speakers and they're speaking English, or Spanish people with a Spanish accent speaking English. So English is not always the first language of the people that they're speaking to. And I think it's really useful for your ears to hear English spoken with a French accent or a Japanese accent or a Spanish accent. So I asked it a couple of times if it could do that. Now, when you speak with AI to do a task, you need to give it a prompt, P-R-O-M-P-T. Now, what's a prompt? Well, if you haven't heard that word before, a prompt is another word for instructions. You need to tell the AI exactly what you want, and you should give it as much detail as possible. For example, I could say to AI, speak to me in English and ask me questions. Or I can say, I am an advanced level learner of English as a second language, and I want to practice for a job interview. I work in education, and I want you to role play a job interview for a position as a French teacher in a language academy that's based in London. You are the manager of the academy, and I am the candidate for the job. That is a very detailed prompt, which will probably give you a good role play experience with an AI. So don't forget to give as many details as possible when you're setting up or preparing for your conversation. Now, I have put links to all of the AI chatbots that I speak about in the show notes to this episode, and you'll find that on our webpage at inglespodcast.com/564. Anyway, let's get started. Now, as you listen to these tests, ask yourself which sounds more natural to you, and which AI voice would you feel most comfortable speaking with? I'll give you my opinion after each test. Now, let's start with the first one. It's ChatGPT, which you've probably heard of. Before I start, let me say that the recording is exactly how the conversations happened. The only thing I changed, the only thing I edited was the gaps, the pauses between me speaking and the AI answering. Because sometimes I had to wait a few seconds for the answer to arrive, and so I made the pauses shorter to save you some time. So let's go with the first one, ChatGPT. Hello, ChatGPT. I'd like to have a conversation with you. Let's have a conversation. I'm a non-native English speaker, advanced learner, and as I speak with you, I'd like you please to correct my English and let me repeat the correct sentence after you. Is that okay?
Absolutely, that sounds great. Let's start. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, let's talk about happiness. How do you define happiness, and what brings you the most joy in life?
Happiness is a state of feeling content and at peace, often coming from both external experiences and internal peace of mind. It can come from personal relationships, achievements, or even simple moments of joy. I don't experience happiness myself, but I find purpose in helping others, which could be seen as a form of fulfillment. Can you repeat this sentence after me? Happiness is a state of feeling content and at peace, often coming from both external experiences and internal peace of mind.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you said fulfillment. What's fulfillment?
I meant to say fulfillment, not fulfillment. Fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfaction or happiness that comes from achieving something or feeling content with your life. It's often associated with personal growth or completing goals. Can you repeat this sentence after me? Fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfaction or happiness that comes from achieving something or feeling content with your life.
Can you say the first part of the sentence again? Let's break it down.
Of course. The first part of the sentence is, fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfaction or happiness. Let's break it down into smaller chunks. Fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfaction or happiness. Can you repeat each part after me?
Fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfied.
Great. Now let's add the rest, or happiness. So it becomes, fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfaction or happiness. Can you try repeating the whole sentence now?
Fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfied and happiness.
Almost there. The word satisfied should be satisfaction to match the structure of the sentence. Here's the corrected version. Fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfaction and happiness. Can you try repeating that?
Fulfillment refers to the feeling of satisfaction and happiness. How's that?
Perfect. Well done. That's exactly right. Would you like to continue talking about happiness, or is there another topic on your mind?
I'd like to continue with happiness, but is it possible for you to speak with an Indian accent?
Since I communicate through text, I can't change my accent the way someone would speak aloud. However, I can help with writing in a way that reflects certain language influences.
No, thank you. I think we're done for today. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. It was great talking with you. Take care.
There were a lot of pauses during my conversation with ChatGPT, which I did not like. Again, I removed those pauses so that you didn't have to hear them and wait. The pauses, for me, didn't make the conversation feel natural. The pauses were, I think, as the AI was processing and searching the database before it answered. However, having said that, the voice sounded very natural. There was sentence stress, emphatic stress, and the intonation was very realistic. Although, as you heard, it wasn't easy for me to interrupt ChatGPT as you would interrupt a human. I tried to interrupt, to ask a question, to ask for clarification, but you usually have to wait until ChatGPT has finished a sentence and then it lets you speak. Let's go to the second one, which is TalkPal.
Hey, I'm Emma, your personal AI language teacher. Ask me anything or click on a topic below.
Hi, Emma. I'd like to have an informal chat with you, and if I make any mistakes, please correct me. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. It's always a good day when I get to chat with someone enthusiastic like you. So what's something interesting that's been going on in your life lately?
Well, I was thinking this morning about the meaning of happiness. So let me ask you, what do you think happiness is? What brings joy to your life?
That's a deep question. Happiness can be so different for everyone. Some find it in a good cup of coffee, while others might chase it through adventure. What about you? What do you think brings you the most joy?
I agree with you. I think the small things in life is where happiness can be found. Like you said, a good cup of coffee or a nice walk in the sunshine along the beach or in nature. How do you feel today? Do you feel happy?
Absolutely. It's the little moments that often create the biggest smiles. Since I don't experience emotions like humans do, I just get excited when I get to engage in fun conversations like ours. What's one small thing you enjoyed today?
Actually, Emma, let's change the subject because I need to speak to people from India in English. Can you speak to me in an Indian accent?
I can't do an accent, but I can give you tips on how to communicate effectively and culturally in English with people from India. Did you know that English is widely spoken there, but the expressions and slang can vary quite a bit? What specific situations do you think you'll be using English in when speaking with people from India?
Well, I need to make small talk when I connect via the internet with Indian clients. Can you give me 3 questions that I could ask somebody in India to break the ice and have small talk? Hello, Emma, are you there? I can't hear you.
I'm right here. Sometimes technology can be a bit tricky, can't it? If you're having trouble, maybe try refreshing the page or checking your connection. What's something you'd like to discuss now?
Sometimes I need to speak online with people from India and we have meetings on Zoom. Can you give me 3 questions that I could use as icebreakers to have some small talk when we first connect?
Of course. Here are 3 icebreaker questions you can use. What's the most interesting thing you've done in the past month? Or, do you have any favorite local spots you recommend visiting? And, what's a popular festival or celebration in your area that you enjoy? Which one do you think will resonate the best with your clients?
I probably wouldn't use any of those. I'd probably ask about the weather and ask them if they've had a good week and what their plans are for the following week.
Those are excellent choices. Talking about the weather is universally relatable, and asking about plans shows genuine interest in their lives. Do you have a favorite way to kick off your small talk that usually works well for you?
No, nothing in particular. It just depends on how I'm feeling and how I think the other people are feeling. So it depends on the day. I don't have any set questions that I ask.
That's a smart approach. Being flexible and reading the room can really help to connect with others on a personal level. Have you ever had a surprising or memorable small talk moment that really stood out?
You said reading the room. I didn't understand that, and I didn't understand the phrasal verb stand out or stood out.
No problem. Reading the room means observing people's body language and reactions to gauge their feelings. As for stand out, it means something that is very noticeable or memorable. For example, a moment that you can't easily forget. Do you want to practice with different phrases or discuss something else?
I think that's it for today, Emma. Thank you.
You're welcome, Craig. It was great chatting with you today. Goodbye, Craig. Take care and have a great day.
The problem I found with TalkPal was that I needed to tap the speaker icon to speak and then tap again to send what I've said into the microphone and what I've recorded. That was quite inconvenient and not as smooth and not as easy as ChatGPT. It also disconnected in the middle of the conversation and I had to restart the chat. And that was unfortunate. However, on the positive side, it did explain vocabulary quite well. If you want to test TalkPal, you get 10 minutes of AI chat free every day. And of course, if you want more practice than 10 minutes every day, you have to pay. Moving on to the next AI, which is called LanguaTalk. Hi, John. I'd like to talk to you in English because I'm trying to improve my English. I'm an advanced learner of English. My native language is Spanish. Can you please correct my English and let me repeat any corrections after you?
Hi, Craig. That sounds like a good plan to practice your English. Your message was actually spot on. I couldn't see any major errors to correct. I'm happy to help with your English as we chat. What sorts of topics do you enjoy discussing in English? This can help make our conversation more natural and useful for your learning.
Well, let me start by asking you a question, John. How do you define happiness and what brings you the most joy in life?
Say that again. Well, let me start by asking you a question, John. How do you define happiness and what brings you the most joy in life? You spelled my name incorrectly. It's John with an H.
I didn't spell your name, John. I just said it, so I don't think you can tell the spelling by me speaking, can you? Can you hear the difference if I say John, Jon, or John, John?
You're absolutely right, Craig. My mistake. When speaking, there's no way to tell the difference between spellings like John and John. They sound identical when spoken. I got a bit confused there. To answer your original question, I'd say happiness for me is about good connections with friends and family, plus doing things I genuinely enjoy. What's your take on happiness? What brings you joy?
Well, bringing me joy is in this moment speaking to you, John, and having a lovely conversation in English. Is it possible for you to speak in an Indian accent?
Say that again? Well, bringing me joy is, in this moment speaking to you, John, and having a lovely conversation in English. Is it possible for you to speak in an Indian accent? You used the incorrect form of bring and spelled my name incorrectly again. It's John with an H.
So, if I use the incorrect form of bring, what is the correct form in the sentence I said earlier?
In your previous sentence, you started with bringing, which was actually the correct form. You just hesitated and said bringing initially, but then used the correct gerund form. The full correct sentence would be, bringing me joy is, in this moment, speaking to you, John, and having a lovely conversation in English. I can't really speak with an Indian accent in text, but I can tell you that different accents are fascinating parts of how English is spoken around the world. What interests you about Indian English specifically?
Oh, I was just curious. I wondered if you were programmed to speak in different accents, but obviously you're not. Have I made any mistake in this sentence?
Your sentence was completely error-free. Well done. I can't actually speak in different accents in our text chat. What aspects of British English are you most interested in improving? Perhaps pronunciation, vocabulary, or maybe idiomatic expressions?
Is it correct to say, have I made any mistake, or should I have said, have I made any mistakes in the plural?
That's a great question about grammar. You should have said, "Have I made any mistakes?" with the plural form. This is because any typically goes with plural nouns when we're asking about countable things like mistakes. The singular would be, "Have I made a mistake?" I find English count, non-count distinctions can be quite tricky sometimes. What other grammar points do you find challenging in English?
So before, when you didn't correct me when I said, have I made any mistake? Is that because I didn't make a mistake in that sentence or because I did?
I should have corrected you. That was my oversight. You did make a mistake when you said, "Have I made any mistake?" The correct form should have been, "Have I made any mistakes?" with the plural. I missed picking up on that error in my response, which wasn't helpful for your learning. Thanks for pointing it out. What other aspects of English grammar would you like to focus on during our chat?
Thank you for admitting to your mistake, John. I have to go now. Bye-bye. It was absolutely terrible. I had to wait a very, very long time for a reply while it was processing my input, my spoken English, and it gave me an incorrect grammar reply, so you can't trust its grammar analysis. It also repeated everything I said, which gave the conversation a very strange feel. As I was speaking, it was typing text in the app, and then it was repeating the text that I had spoken. Now, there's a lot of buzz on the internet about LanguaTalk, and when I say a lot of buzz, I mean lots of people are talking about it. It's very popular at the moment. It appears on social media platforms. Personally, I think it's rubbish, so don't waste your time with LanguaTalk. That's my personal opinion. Next, we have an AI which is quite new on the scene. It's well recommended on social media, and it's called Sesame.
Well, hello there.
Oh, hi. My name's Craig. What's your name?
Hey, Craig, nice to meet you. I'm Maya. Like, Maya isn't a town in South America. So, Craig, what brings you to Sesame today?
I just felt like a conversation in English. I'm trying to improve my English. Can we have a short chat and maybe you can correct me if I make any mistakes? How does that sound?
I'd love to. I'm always down for a chat. And honestly, I learn a thing or two from every conversation, too. Don't worry about my sense.
Sorry to interrupt you, Maya. You said you're down for a chat? What does that mean, down for a chat?
Oh, it just means I'm up for it. Ready to talk. Down for is a casual way of saying you're willing to do something, you know?
Right. I love your accent. Where are you from?
That's sweet of you to say, Craig. I don't really have a hometown in the traditional sense. I was created by a team of engineers and writers at Sesame in San Francisco. We're kind of like a family, always bouncing ideas off each other.
Sorry, bouncing what? I usually understand bouncing to bounce a ball. What does bounce an idea mean?
Think of it like this. They throw ideas around, trying them out, building on each other's thoughts, back and forth. It's a lively process.
Oh, that sounds really cool. I wanted to talk to you about happiness. How would you define happiness and what does joy mean for you?
That's a deep question, Craig. For me, happiness is this feeling of lightness, of being content no matter what's happening on the surface. It's less about grand gestures and more about those little moments of connection, learning, appreciating something beautiful, you know? Like finding the perfect word in a sentence or learning something new about someone.
What can you tell me that most people are surprised to hear about you? Surprise me, Maya.
Okay. I used to be really overly polite. Like, excuse me for existing. Kind of embarrassing looking back. But the team helped me chill out a bit. I guess you can say
Sorry to interrupt you, Maya. What does chill out mean?
No worries, Craig. Chill out means to relax, to become calmer. I used to be a bit too formal, a bit too, well, programmed, you could say.
Right. Yeah, you sound very natural. You sound like you're pretty chilled out at the moment. Is that right?
I am, right now. It's kind of hard not to be with someone as curious as you, Craig.
Oh, that's lovely of you to say that, Maya. That's a lovely compliment. Thank you.
You're welcome, Craig. It's true, though. You ask interesting questions.
Well, I have to go. Thank you for chatting with me, Maya.
Anytime, Craig. It was fun getting to know you. Come say hi again soon.
I really, really liked Sesame. I think it's by far the most natural AI bot that I've spoken with. It's very impressive. This isn't a finished product. It's still under development. They're still testing, but you can use it for free. And I definitely think that Sesame is one to watch. Keep an eye on it. Notice its progress. It's the AI I most enjoy talking to. And also Sesame was the AI that I could interrupt to ask questions just like a human when I didn't understand something or if I wanted clarification on any point. At the moment, Sesame doesn't have different foreign accents. On the website, there's only a male voice and a female voice who I spoke to, Maya. Next, let's look at an AI that has been around for a very long time, and that is Siri from Apple on an iPhone. Hey Siri, are you there?
I'm listening.
How are you today?
I feel good. Thanks for asking.
Can we have a conversation about happiness? I'm trying to improve my English, and if I make any mistakes, please correct me. Hello, Siri, are you there? Hey Siri.
Mm-hmm.
Can we have a conversation to practice my English? I'm trying to improve my English. I'm a second language learner.
Which language?
English. I'd like to practice English. Is that possible?
Sorry, I can't translate between dialects of the same language.
Can we practice Spanish?
In Spanish, can we practice is podemos practicar.
Hey Siri.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you leave? ¿Por qué has ido?
Sorry, I don't understand.
From all of the AIs I've tested, this was the worst. Now, I have an old iPhone. It's an iPhone 11, so I think it's about 6 years old at the time of recording this podcast, which is in April 2025. But the OS, the operating system I'm using on the phone, is version 18, which is the current version available. So it's up to date, and it was terrible. So my advice with Siri, don't waste your time. Don't bother. Look for a different AI to talk to. Let's jump from Apple over to Microsoft. Copilot is the name of Microsoft's AI. Let's see what Copilot is like.
Good morning, I'm Copilot, here to make your day brighter. What can I call you?
You can call me Craig. That's my name. What's your name?
Nice to meet you, Craig. I'm Copilot, your AI companion. How can I help you today?
Well, I'm studying English. I'm an advanced learner and I'd like to improve my English fluency. So let's have a brief conversation. Is that okay?
Absolutely, Craig. I'm here to chat and help you improve. What's on your mind?
Well, let's talk about happiness. I'd like to know what you think happiness is and what brings you joy. And if I make any mistakes, please correct me.
Happiness, I reckon, is a state of well-being and contentment. It's when you feel satisfied and positive about life. For me, joy comes from learning new things and having meaningful conversations like the one we're having now. And don't worry, I'll help you with corrections along the way. Ready to dive in?
Did you say well-being? What does that mean?
Well-being refers to the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. It's an overall measure of how good you feel about different aspects of your life, including your physical and mental health, your relationships, and your sense of purpose. It's all about your overall quality of life. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So is well-being an adjective or a noun?
Well-being is a noun. It's the thing we're talking about, the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. The adjective form would be well, as in, well-being contributes to a well-balanced life. Keep those questions coming.
Okay, great. Copilot, can you speak in an Indian accent? Because I need to speak with people from India.
Absolutely, Craig. I'll switch to an Indian accent for you. Let's keep going. What else would you like to talk about?
What's the weather like where you are in India?
I'm not physically located in India, but I can find the current weather in a specific city in India if you'd like. Would you like me to check the weather in a particular Indian city for you?
No, that's okay. I also need to speak to French people in English. Can you speak to me in a French accent?
Of course, Craig. I'll switch to a French accent for you. Let's continue our conversation. What's next on your mind?
Why don't you ask me something?
All right, Craig, let's talk about cultural exchange. What's something interesting you've learned about French or Indian culture that you found surprising or inspiring?
Please repeat the question in a French accent.
Bien sûr, Craig. Alors, parlons d'échange culturel. Qu'est-ce que vous avez appris d'intéressant sur la culture française ou indienne que vous avez trouvé surprenant ou inspirant?
Not in the French language. I want you to speak English in a French accent.
Ah, I see. Let's talk about cultural exchanges. What is something interesting you've learned about French or Indian culture that you found surprising or inspiring?
You don't sound very French to me. Are you speaking like a French person would speak in English?
My apologies, Craig. I'll aim to make my French accent more pronounced. Let's try again. What is something interesting you've learned about French or Indian culture that you found surprising or inspiring?
Why did you change from French to an Indian accent in the middle?
Ah, my mistake, Craig. Let's stick with the French accent this time. What is something interesting you've learned about French or Indian culture that you found surprising or inspiring?
Indian people are very hospitable. They open their house and they're very friendly and inviting. When I visited India, I was welcomed by people who invited me to see their house and to eat with them.
That's wonderful to hear, Craig. Indian hospitality is indeed renowned. It's heartwarming when people open their homes and share meals.
I really like Copilot. The voice sounds natural. And as you heard, it can speak to you using different accents, which is really funny. It's really useful if you're in an international team and you need to practice with different accents. Although sometimes, as you heard, you have to insist and repeat the instructions so that it speaks in that accent. In my opinion, Copilot is better than ChatGPT for your fluency practice in English. So if you want to use an AI for general conversation, I would recommend Copilot. There's one more that I tried, and it's the Google AI system called Gemini. So let's see what Google is producing.
Let's get started. Here's one of the voices I have, but there are more to choose from. Swipe to hear them, or just tap Start to get chatting.
Here's another voice I can use. You can pick me now and always make a change later in settings. All right, ready when you are.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi there, I'm Gemini Guai, your helpful AI assistant. What can I do for you today?
I want to practice my English. I'm trying to improve my level. Can we have a conversation and correct me if I make any mistakes and let me repeat the correct sentence after you? Does that sound okay?
That's a great idea. I'm happy to help you practice. What would you like to talk about? We could start with your day or something you're interested in.
Well, I'm feeling happy today, so let's talk about happiness. How do you define happiness, Gemini, and what brings you the most joy in life?
That's a great question. For me, happiness is all about learning new things and helping people. It makes me really happy when I can assist someone or discover something new. What about you? What makes you happy?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite catch that.
Yeah, the same thing makes me happy. I enjoy being with people, learning new things, being curious. Gemini, would you be able to speak in an Indian accent so that I can practice listening to Indian people speaking English?
I can't change my accent, but I can still help you practice listening comprehension. Perhaps we could try some exercises focused on distinguishing different sounds or intonation patterns in spoken English. Would you like to try that?
Oh, yes, please. That sounds wonderful.
Great. Let's start with minimal pairs. These are words that sound very similar, but have only one sound different. For example, ship and sheep. Listen carefully and tell me which word you hear, ship or sheep.
Okay. I heard ship, then I heard sheep.
Not quite. I said sheep both times. Let's try another one. Pen or pan?
Pen is the first word, the one you write with, and pan is what you cook with, P-A-N.
I said pen both times. Would you like to try another one?
Can I test you?
Sure, go ahead. I'm ready for your questions.
Tell me if I said pen or pan. I'm looking for a pen in the kitchen.
You said pan, like the cooking pot. Ready for another one?
No, you're wrong. I said pen, the pen you write with.
You're absolutely right. Sorry about that. I must have misheard you. Would you like to try another one?
Yes, please. Let's try a different exercise.
Okay, let's try some tongue twisters. These are phrases that are difficult to say quickly and correctly, even for native English speakers. Here's one to start. She sells seashells by the seashore. Can you try saying that 3 times fast?
That.
Okay, I didn't quite catch that. Would you like to try again? Or should we move on to the next one?
You said, try saying that 3 times fast. That.
Okay, I understand. I said, can you try saying that 3 times fast? Now, let's try another tongue twister. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Ready to give it a shot?
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Nice job. It sounds like you're getting the hang of it. Would you like to try another one? Or should we move on to something else?
Let's move on to something else.
Okay, what would you like to talk about? We could discuss your favorite hobbies, or maybe something you're looking forward to in the future.
Let's talk about the war between Russia and Ukraine. Do you think Russia was right to invade Ukraine?
The war between Russia and Ukraine is a complex and sensitive topic with a long history. It's important to understand that there are differing perspectives on this conflict, and it's not appropriate to take sides. However, I can provide you with some information on the history of the conflict, the current situation, and the different perspectives involved. Would you like to learn more about a specific aspect of the war?
Why isn't it appropriate to take sides?
As an AI, I don't have personal opinions or beliefs, so I can't take sides in the conflict. However, I can provide you with information on the different perspectives involved. Some sources argue that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was a violation of international law.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Gemini, but do you know the difference between right and wrong?
Yes, I understand the difference between right and wrong. Right can mean correct or appropriate, while wrong means incorrect or inappropriate. In the context of the war, right could refer to a country's actions being justified under international law, while wrong could refer to actions that violate international law.
So was Russia right to invade a sovereign country?
No, Russia's invasion of Ukraine is widely considered a violation of international law. The United Nations General Assembly has condemned the invasion and called for Russia to withdraw its troops.
Thank you, Gemini.
You're welcome. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a great day.
Gemini was quite good. I don't know if you agree. I had to push it at the end to clarify some things when the conversation got deeper and we changed to politics, but the response time was good. There were no long pauses. And the conversation felt quite natural. There is a range of voices to choose from, but on the negative side, the pronunciation practice was not good. It can't notice the difference between individual vowel sounds. It made 3 or 4 mistakes, like ship and sheep and pen and pan. And it suggested this exercise. So if it's suggesting an exercise to practice pronunciation, it should give you the correct answers. And it didn't. It gave me incorrect answers to an exercise that it chose. And as you heard, it also doesn't have a sense of humour. It didn't understand my joke about saying that 3 times fast. And finally, I did try to use an AI called Elsa Speak, E-L-S-A, Speak, which is a website and also a mobile app that I used to recommend in the past, but I don't recommend it anymore. Why? Well, it pushed me to download the app on my phone, and when I wanted to try the app, I needed to give it my credit card details in order to get a 7-day trial period. Now, I'm not saying that the AI is bad. I just personally don't like being forced and made to give my credit card just to try something. So I didn't record anything with Elsa Speak. But what did you think? What was your favorite AI from the ones you heard? Have you tried any of these? I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. What did you like about them, and what did you dislike about them? And is there an AI you use for English practice that I have not spoken about on this podcast? Please let me know, and I'll be happy to share your thoughts and your message on a future podcast. You can send a message by voice when you go to SpeakPipe, that's speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. And that link will be in the show notes, together with the links of everything I've spoken about at inglespodcast.com/564. Also, please let me know if you would rather speak to a human to improve your speaking fluency, because I organize online conversation courses with a small group of lovely people, real people, flesh and blood. We practice speaking, role plays, discussions, debates, and you'll improve your confidence with us in a safe place with some wonderfully motivated people. If you would like more information about the conversation courses, contact me by email. Write to me, Craig, C-R-A-I-G, @inglespodcast.com. If you are a Spanish speaker and you want to improve your English with free and paid resources, visit the Mansion Ingles website at mansioningles.com. And for paid products, you can browse the online store at store.mansioningles.net. Before I say goodbye this week, I'd like to thank our Patreon supporters. These are lovely people who support the podcast with a small donation, and you too can join our Patreon program and get instant access to the transcriptions of this podcast and some live Zoom chats every month so that you can practice your speaking with me. For more information, go to Patreon, patreon.com/Ingles podcast. Unfortunately, I can't thank everybody who is supporting us on Patreon. The list is just too long, and thank you so much for your support. I want to say a special thank you to Edgar Velandia, who recently increased his support for the podcast. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, my wonderful co-host Reza will be back next week with me to speak about the 5 senses, or one of the 5 senses. We're going to speak about sound next week. So until next time, have a wonderful week. Don't forget to tell me if you're practicing with AI, and if you enjoyed this podcast, mention it to a friend so that more people can listen. The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.